My name's Jessie, and I am the marketing director at College Sports Evaluation. So I played soccer my whole life, and that journey took me to playing 4 years in college, and it was an incredibly rewarding and difficult experience all at the same time. Reflecting back on it, I'm a huge believer that athletics in general are there to teach you lifelong lessons. And sometimes those lessons are really hard. And the mental load that an athlete takes on at the collegiate scene is not a light one. For me, reflecting back on it now, I feel so fortunate that I was not playing at the time in which social media was a big thing. I had a flip phone during college, and I feel very fortunate for that, because reflecting back, I was not my own brand. I was not as much as my own identity, as much as learning what it meant to really represent a brand at large. So when you're playing at the collegiate level, you're representing yourself on the field, your team, your coaches, your family. You're representing the university at large and the program. And so that impact alone makes all of the highs and lows feel so much more extreme. And so what that meant for me at the collegiate scene, I can remember back to the beginning of my sophomore year, kind of being an identified up and coming leader on the team, which also then comes with a little bit more TLC from the coach, right? And early in the season, you're trying to stack your preseason games with as many wins out of conference as possible, with hopes that if you need an at-large bid at the end of the season, you're going to make that tournament. And I very clearly remember, just as a team, we played awful one game, and we lost. We lost a game we should have won. And obviously our coach was not pleased. And the next day, he had one-on-one meetings with all of the players, and I was one of the last ones to go, and all the other players were like, it was fine. I don't know why we did those. Mine was not fine. I remember meeting with the coaches, and he just really nailed into me hard. I just ruined the entire season for the whole team, the whole program. As a defender, you're the last line before that ball goes in the net past the goalie, and the 2 goals that were scored on us, I stepped, the player cut, they shot and scored. Second goal, I stepped, they cut, shot and scored. I remember it. And I just remember sitting through that meeting, holding it together, but you feel that feeling in your throat just ball up, and you're like, oh. And I held it together, but after I left that room, I was bawling. And it was really hard. And of course, this is just one memory of, several. And it's enough to make you question, why am I doing this? Why do I show up every day? You have those practices where you just don't want to run anymore, and you only envision yourself just leaving. I don't need to be here. Why am I doing this? So it all goes back to the mental load as an athlete. When you're taking on that weight of how you show up every day, but then also how that reflects from the university at large. Every time we're traveling and on the road, how do you carry yourself in public? Every time you step on the field and you're dealing with adversity, how do you carry yourself? The wins, the losses, it all feels so large. And I learned a lot of lessons through my 4 years playing collegiate soccer, and some of them were really hard, but I'm better off for it. After that game that I had just referenced, I always go back to, I love team sports, because at the end of the day, even though I ruined the season, the next game, all 11 starters sat on the bench. It wasn't just me. And we had to rely on the depth of our bench to pick us back up, get us back up to speed. And then fast forward, I went on to start and play every game throughout the rest of my collegiate career. So it's the mental grit, right, that takes you from those low moments to get you through. But it's also so much more. I think the collegiate experience The mental load that an athlete experiences is only made possible to get through it by your support system around you. So that day I left the office and I was crying and I was a total mess. I got lucky. My mom was there. I grew up an hour away from where I went to school. She happened to be in town for work, and we went out to lunch, and I got to just sort of like unpack with her. My teammates were awesome. They're lifelong friends. You know, we've gone through the highs and lows, playing collegiate soccer, living together, early adulthood, growing families, and we're still just like thick as thieves. So that's what gets you through those moments. So in general, like the college experience, while it's a tough one, it's a very rewarding one. And then for me, I also found exiting the collegiate scene was also a difficult one. I think I dreamt about soccer every single night for the first year after I graduated. I'm sure a lot of those dreams were pretty like rough and down in the weeds. But the point is, it's so ingrained in who you are as a person that to unravel from it and re-identify is incredibly difficult. And it took me a while. And I think I really started to transition my identity away from being a student athlete a year after playing. Unintentionally, I went to a yoga teacher training program and started to learn about a lot of like energetic things and mental patterns, and just kind of diving deep on them and then releasing them. And I take those lessons with me through a lot of areas in life as well. So from beginning to end, from when I first started playing soccer as a little girl, and it gave me so much joy, to then as an adult, how it's taught me lifelong lessons that I continue to use and will use moving forward. Again, incredibly rewarding, but also difficult.